People say that Minecraft is the best game of all time. People say that Fortnite is the best game of all time. But what are these games without multiplayer? They have no substance whatsoever at all. Nobody would ever play them ever. But one game does. The no Wi-Fi dino game. This game doesn't even need Wi-Fi and it's one of the top 10 games of all time. But it's not number one. That's where I come in. But how are we gonna make it a number one game? We're gonna take a page out of Elden Ring's book and just stuff bosses into its mouth. So, in today's video, we're gonna add 6 total bosses. Each boss crazier than the last. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. If you're a fan of the channel, you already know that I made this game twice, but I lost the files to both projects. So this is the third time that I'm remaking it. Don't worry, I'm not gonna make you rewatch all of that. This is what we got. We got the dino, you can jump, you can double jump. Looks nice and pretty, you got the horizon, you can shoot fireballs, just like the dino game. But this little dino needs to be managed, so let's make a boss. And I have a great idea for the first boss of this game. For the first boss, we just make a bigger T-Rex and then rip his skin off. Let's model this boy. So we hopped in the blender and gave a boss some dome, trying to make it look as much like a skeleton as I could. But this is boring. We need a body. So I got on it. Gave him a rib cage and a spine, and we're already halfway there. Can't skip leg day. Gave him some trunks. And that's the boss, son. So all we gotta do is bring him into Unity. Luckily, the boss fight genie already created a boss system, so all I have to do for this little boy is make some animations. The first animation, I gave him some hee-hee, made him walk backwards on the sand. But there's an issue. If we're gonna get any insurance money, we need this T-Rex to attack us. So, I implemented the most brutal attacks you've ever seen a Bone Rex do on a smaller dinosaur. Man, if you could beat this boss, you are not that impressed because this is one of the first bosses. I'll show the complete fights of all the bosses at the end of the video. But after I implemented this guy, I was pretty confident to move on to some other bosses. So I brought back the OG El Cactus. In the first ever video I made on this channel, just as handsome as ever. Always nice to go back to our roots. But let's up it up a notch, alright? Our favorite space rock, Mr. Meteor. Check him out. All the same moves as the OG Mr. Meteor. Brought him back. He can now look at you with his rigged eyeball. Oh, way better. Way better. Okay. But I think this sand environment's getting a bit too crowded, so let's make a new map. See if you could guess what it is. First thing I did was change the ground texture. Then I added a skybox, but it felt a little bit dead, so I made it rotate with the sun. You have any guesses about what the map is? That's right, it's an underground Hollywood studio. But I'm at least 90% certain there's no cacti on the moon. So I casted my favorite actor to play the main antagonist on the moon. And this is way harder to dodge than the cactus, which is appropriate since this is the second level. Whoa! Oh, Cactus, what are you doing up here, man? You're not supposed to be up here. So let's replace this guy with some moon-themed bosses. Naturally, I thought we should make an astronaut. I created the base mess. It's looking kind of schmexy. Then I gave him some culture, but he needs to move, so I rigged him up, dropped him into Unity, and I invented the best attacks possible for an astronaut. But we're in space. That means that we need some aliens. So I created a new race, the alien race. I actually already modeled this guy a long time ago, so I just pulled him out of the vault. Once again, I made a ton of attacks for the alien, made sure that he was a formidable opponent, and I actually moved the meteor boss onto the moon. So now we got a complete moon map. But that leaves a boss unaccounted for on the desert map. So now we gotta make a desert boss. I was thinking of ideas, they all seemed kind of basic, but finally I landed on the best boss idea ever. The criminal crab. He has a little eye patch because he lost one of his eyes back in the crab war. And that's the final boss. And don't worry, the crab has been done justice. I've seen SpongeBob. But we have a problem. How do we know if all these bosses are good? We have to play the game. So let's go and check out every boss back to back to back to back to back to back. Crazy progress done in our dino game. But we're not done. I need more boss ideas. Give me some boss ideas for the sand map. I need some boss ideas for the moon map. More map ideas. Just overload me in the comments below. I'm going to try to make as many bosses in this game as I possibly can. Then I'll drop it to the public. And if you could beat it, you're a certified pro gamer. Faux show. So, catch you guys on the flip.